there! Welcome to Ancestral Recall. This is a web series on Magic's past from the player's point of view. I'm your host, Eli Kaplan. Today's story, Vanguard. The cards, not that other trading card game. Back in the late 90s, Wizards didn't have a centralized web system of stores with preferred status for organized play like they do today. Today, we have things like Friday Night Magic, a system designed for getting local players into the doors of local gaming retailers. Its predecessor was a decentralized system, Arena League. Arena League got players access to cool foils and had a mix of unusual formats. One constructed format was Vanguard, which they did 5 or 6 times. Each season had 8 cards that existed outside play. And today, it would be the Commander Zone. So you picked a Vanguard card and added it to a 60-card standard legal deck to fight other people. The more matches you played, the better your rating was, and somehow, stores mailed in their match information to Wizards. One season, I was in 17th place in North America due to going 26-3 with one deck. But let's check out these Vanguard cards. Vanguard cards were a representation of famous Magic legends. You could play alongside Mishra, Urza, Sarah, Gerard, Sisay, Volrath, Meraxus, Stark, or even Sidar Kondo. Vanguard cards had 3 key characteristics. Each of them had a modifier to your initial life total, a modifier to your starting hand size, and a special ability. The modifiers were supposed to balance the different Vanguard abilities, which were the real draw for each character. And some were tailor-made for specific strategies. Do you like playing Draw Go and have enough early game to keep from dying? Then you wanted Squee. Squee gave you perfect information, letting you look at your opponent's hand at any time, and even gave you a starting hand size of 10. That's a free Ancestral recall. All it cost was starting at 16 life. Ramp decks could play Sisay, providing themselves a one-sided mana flare, or Heartbeat of Spring if you want to talk about the modern legal version. Using Sisay, they could power out 4 drops on turn 2, 6 drops on turn 3. You get the picture. But the ramping strategy did have a serious cost. I mean, you had to start off with 5 cards in hand and 17 life. The first seasons focused on the Weatherlight crew, and later sets explored Wrath and the characters of Urza's saga as Urza bounced around the plains. We got looks at little-known characters like Zancha and Takara, who I really think is just a nod to one of Wizards' old distributors. By the way, Urza? An overgrown prodigal sorcerer? Who is the genius who thought of that idea? We have the hero of multiple blocks, and that's it? At least his ability was relevant when facing off against his brother Mishra, who usually came to the table with lots of efficient small beaters. So yeah, Urza could use his personal power to take out the army of Mishra's little guys. At the end of the format, they had 2 open seasons where you could pick any Vanguard card to play instead of just the current season. The format was full Tempest and Saga block, and I cooked up a really awesome number. So this deck relied on creatures with lots of come-into-play abilities, fueled by the free combo enabler that was Baron. Baron, for you Vorthoses out there, this is the guy who obliterated the Tolarian Academy in the face of massive Phyrexian invaders on the card Obliterate. Scorched Earth policy. But Baron's ability here let you unsummon any creature. The only cost was sacrificing a permanent. I brought in all sorts of efficient guys like Avalanche Riders, Wall of Blossoms, Gitu Slinger to burn opponents' guys, and Deranged Hermit, which is 5 creatures in play for 5 mana. This was incredibly abusable, over and over. Take a look at Wall of Blossoms. With Baron out, you can pay 2 mana, sacrifice a permanent to draw a card. It was quite the engine. Gaia's Cradle provided mana to do crazy things. In 1 month, since I was only able to play 1 night a week, I rattled off something like 30 wins and 3 losses. One of the TOs lost one of the sheets, I don't know why. But it was easily the most effective brew I ever came up with. It looked rather similar to Aaron Forsyth's famous deck, Angry Hermit, because it also played with Plow Unders and Arc Lightnings. And now, the price is right. When I was researching this show, I honestly had no idea what Vanguard cards were worth. At my local store, when the new season came out, you paid $2 or $3 and got all the season's Vanguard cards. So when all the Vanguard seasons happened, you didn't even need to own the particular card to play. They wanted to make sure everyone had a chance. So it surprised the living hell out of me when it turns out that some Vanguard cards are actually quite valuable. The first season was the easiest to get since it also came with a holiday box set. So here are the prices. Titania, $60. Zancha and Gix, $30. Sliver Queen Broodmother, $25. Urza and Selenia are $10. My personal collection of Vanguard cards is pretty banged up because there were no sleeves for oversized cards back then. Look at Eldamri. Now here's a guy who knows how to take one for the team. This guy was a nightmare for red decks because killing your creatures through burn was incredibly hard, and you also started off with 35 life. How would Sly decks stay on their usual fast schedule? Okay, so you start off with one less card. No big whoop in that matchup. Lina, the leader of the Shadows, was generally considered a dud in multiplayer games. Yeah, you're able to attack anyone with virtually no resistance, but losing the ability to block is a major cost. You know, it's nice that current players have an excellent base of comparison, the Cult of Rakdos and its Unleash mechanic, but, you know, Rakdos' Unleashed guys have quite beefy stats, although opponents still have some ways to interact with them. Sets back then, the creature stats were pretty nerfed in comparison to today. Sliver fans were delighted to get access to the Sliver Queen, who gave you 8 life and can spit out colorless Sliver tokens for 3 mana. Yes, I know, the actual Sliver Queen could do it for 2 mana, not 3. That's the advantage of paying Wooburg. But the Vanguard version was much, much easier to get into play, as it were. Krovax, pretty awesome. Draw 2 upside, gives all your guys baby lifelink. Seems like a nice thing to have in play with Archangel of Thune. Gerard, the lead of the Weatherlight Saga, is a chump, sadly. It seems nice to draw 2 cards per turn, but with a maximum hand size of 3, you're actually going to be burning through a lot of your deck early on with bad decision making. Will you hit your land drop next turn? It's hard to say. Gerard is fine in the long game, and can be a surprisingly good reanimator partner, but he's very limited in scope. Greven Ilvek is the prodigal sorcerer's friend. Check out the old templating for Death Touch. I like to pack a lot of Tims into my cube, so this guy is quite good in a bunch of cube decks for me. Hannah, this is the Johnny combo player's pick. Getting your pieces out for 1 less is sick. Multani's ability, giving all your guys additional power based on your hand size, looks broken. Until you notice that ridiculous starting hand size of 4. Multani's among the worst of the lot. The Oracle has nothing to do with Scry. Man, I bet someone at Wizards is kicking themselves when they look at this card's ability text. Now, check Oracle with Selenia, who gives all your creatures vigilance with just slightly less life. You know, with only 2 life less, I'm pretty sure vigilance trumps reconnaissance in the vast majority of matchups. Tawnos, okay, this is not a real engine component, but giving all permanent types flash and starting with a hand size of 10, I'm going to argue that some combo players will prefer this to Hannah. These days, if you want to play with Vanguard cards, you can add them to the mix with your cube drafts, handing out 2 before a draft to each player, and each player can choose 1. And you can have them pick their ally before the draft, which pressures them into taking cards of a certain strategy, or you can let them have the 2 and decide after the draft to give them more options by assessing what's available in the draft and having synergy with one of the 2. I do not recommend Vanguard cards for EDH because designing broken decks around them is way too easy. But for cube drafters, my recommendation is pick a bunch of these up. Knowing what your ability is will help you steer your way in the draft significantly. You know, if you get something like Tangarth, there's a very good chance you'll want to draft red, green, and lots of fatties because hasty swings kill. This is not a set per se, so I'm not going to give Vanguard cards a score, but I will make a strong recommendation for casual fans to track these cards down and give them a try. Thanks for watching Ancestral Recall. Please get on that like button and click it like it's hot. I'd appreciate it if you subscribed, and don't forget that I have other videos to check out too. Next week's show will be a bit of a departure as I dabble in box opening. I've been getting my names right in advance. Follow me on Twitter, check me out on Facebook, and if you see me on Magic Online, try me in a game. This is Eli Kaplan for Ancestral Recall, signing off. Good games and good luck. Bramaz, King of Oreskos. Bramaz, King of Oreskos. Evanescent Intellect. Evanescent Intellect. Nyxborn Trident. Nyxborn Trident. Traumacartus. Traumacartus. Democritus. Forlorn Pseudomama. Forlorn Pseudomama. Four-form Pseudo Make Me a Sandwich. Excoriate! Excoriate!